Hey everyone, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Now, as most of you know, my favorite superhero in the realm of DC would have to be none other than the Caped Crusader himself, Batman, whom I believe is one of several superheroes who symbolize Halloween. Over the years, I've been sharing my thoughts on several Batman movies like Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, the 2019 Joker movie, which will be getting a sequel in 2024, Batman v Superman, and of course, Batman and Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero. By the way, even though I never actually grew up with the show, for as long as I can remember, I've been hearing from many of my childhood classmates say that Batman the Animated Series has got to be the absolute best cartoon show from the 90s. And after watching several episodes online and on Blu-ray, I gotta admit, they're absolutely right. It really is an amazing show. Not only did it change television and storytelling forever, but it also made a great start for the DC animated universe. And on the topic of Batman the Animated Series, for this episode, I'm going to look at the show's theatrical animated feature and see what I think about it. So, released on Christmas Day, 1993, the movie is Batman: Mask of the Phantasm. And now, on for the plot of the movie. Batman, the costumed crime fighter who prowls the night skies in Gotham City, soon finds there's another vigilante in town, knocking off prominent mob figures. Despite the scythe-like blade for a hand, a mechanical voice, and the cloud of smoke that follows the figure wherever it goes, the police and outraged officials mistake the homicidal Crusader for Batman himself, and they demand that the city's longtime hero be brought to justice. Meanwhile, Andrea Beaumont, Bruce Wayne's long-lost love interest from 10 years prior, returns to town and is no less a disruption than the return of his old archenemy, the Joker, who has a stake in seeing the annihilation of this new vigilante, whoever it proves to be. So, what are my thoughts on the film? Well, in my opinion, it was absolutely amazing, and it truly deserves to be the greatest Batman movie of all time, up there with Tim Burton's Batman and The Dark Knight. But, unfortunately, go on, get it over with. Yep, it bombed. But in order to explain, let's move on to Mustang notes. Originally planned for a direct-to-video release, Warner Brothers gave Mask of the Phantasm a theatrical release on short notice, condensing its production into a strenuous 8-month schedule, which was not enough to give it proper marketing. So, as a result, the movie came out unnoticed. Anyway, Mask of the Phantasm was the very first theatrical feature produced by Warner Brothers Animation, and it was released through the studio's Family Entertainment. Despite the box office failure, the movie received positive reviews from critics, who praised the stylized animation, voice performances, story, and music, and it became financially successful on home media. And over the years, Mask of the Phantasm not only gained a cult following, but has continued to receive acclaim and is often cited as one of the best superhero films of all time. By the way, the reason why I never saw this movie in theaters at the time was because I was about 3 years old. So, technically, I was a bit too young to see an animated superhero film back then. But, at the same time, I've been overhearing a lot of my classmates from kindercare talking about it, saying how awesome it is, and it wouldn't be until my college age when I would finally rent it from Netflix and buy it on Blu-ray. Heck, a couple other reviewers whom I know and follow, like Huey Toonmore, the cartoon hero, Even Animat have praised this movie in a few of their videos. And in my opinion, like the show, the hand-drawn animation is absolutely fantastic. And I like how most of the film is colored with blue, red, white, yellow, and lots of black, which to me enhances the mood of mystery. And I really love how Gotham City looks in this film. Oh, fun fact, the design of Gotham and the characters were inspired by the 1940s Max Fleischer Superman cartoons. Also, the musical score by Shirley Walker is absolutely excellent. In fact, she later wrote and composed the theme for the second season, aka The Adventures of Batman and Robin. As for the story, well, to me, not only is it a great superhero film, but it's also a great detective story, and I like how it shows its own interpretation of Batman's origins, while also being inspired by Mike W. Barr's Batman Year 2 comic book story arc and borrowing elements from the Batman Year 1 graphic novel. And I think the action scenes are absolutely badass. Now before we move on, let's talk a little bit about the Phantasm. Loosely based on the DC Comics character, the Reaper, this mysterious cloaked figure seems very reminiscent to the Grim Reaper, and according to Bruce Timm, the Phantasm resembles a tall, gaunt, death-like character. Plus, I think the character's ability to teleport with smoke is pretty spooky, and that large blade on his right hand makes him pretty dangerous, and that electronic modified voice provided by Walter Stacy Keats Jr. is really intimidating. And now, let's move on to the characters and the voice actors. Our hero, Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, is voiced by Kevin Conroy. During this movie, Batman has to figure out why a series of gangster murders are happening that are being caused by the mysterious figure known as the Phantasm, while also trying to clear his name due to him being falsely accused of committing the murders. To me, like in the show, Batman is a fantastic and badass superhero and vigilante. However, I don't think many folks know that this movie was Batman's return to his roots of being a detective, and, like in Sub-Zero 6 years later, Bruce's detective skills are very professional. Plus, I think the flashback scenes showing Bruce Wayne as a young man before becoming Batman were very interesting scenes. Next is Andrea Beaumont, voiced by Dana Delaney, whom was in Fly Away Home, and she voiced Lois Lane in Superman the Animated Series and several other DC animated projects. 10 years ago, Andrea was the daughter of a financier and businessman who formed a relationship with Bruce Wayne while attending Gotham University, but unfortunately, Andrea reluctantly broke off her engagement with Bruce due to her discovering that her father was in business with the mafia, and they had to quickly flee to Europe when the mobsters discovered that her father Carl had made unauthorized investments and was unable to access the money that he had stolen and invested. In my opinion, Andrea Beaumont seems like a beautiful and caring woman, and I like that her design is reminiscent to women's fashion from the 1940s. Also, I like that Andrea was a caring and positive influence for Bruce, giving him an opportunity to be happy with his life. However, it's later revealed that she's the real identity of the Phantasm, and as her alter ego, she appears as a very serious threat with the potential to kill her targets. And by the time she has to reveal her real identity to Bruce, it becomes very shocking and heartbreaking at the same time, which to me makes Andrea seem very similar to Aaron Davis, aka Prowler, from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, due to her being a twist villain, but not technically the main villain of the movie. You see, Andrea as the Phantasm is more like a chaotic vigilante who kills mafia bosses as revenge for them murdering her father and robbing her of a future with Bruce. And to me, while that's a very sympathetic motivation, it's not as good compared to what Batman does when it comes to capturing his victims and leaving them for the police to arrest. Plus, Andrea doesn't really become the biggest obstacle that Batman must stop in the end. Finally, we come to the Joker, voiced by Mark Hamill, best known as Jedi Master Luke Skywalker from the Star Wars franchise and Master Ericus in the Kingdom Hearts game series. Now, as we all know, the Joker is considered by fans as one of Batman's most insane, terrifying, and threatening villains. And I think the way Mark Hamill does that evil, insane laugh is really scary. Ever since my childhood, believe me. Anyway, during this movie, I think the Joker gets a lot of character development due to him being revealed to be a criminal named Jack Napier. Before becoming the Joker, Jack started out as a chauffeur and hitman for Salvatore Valestra's mob, whom was responsible for targeting Carl Beaumont in Europe and murdering him in cold blood. Also, I thought the Joker's hideout, taking place in Gotham's abandoned World's Fair, was a very fitting place for a villain like him to hang out at. Other voices in the film include Hart Bochner as Arthur Reeves, Abe Vigoda as Salvatore Balestra, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. as Alfred Pennyworth, Bob Hastings as Commissioner James Gordon, and Robert Costanzo as Detective Harvey Bullock. And now, on to my final words. Overall, Batman, Mask of the Phantasm is an incredibly amazing animated movie. It has great animation, a great setting, an epic story, awesome voice acting, memorable characters, and a shocking twist involving Andrea Beaumont and the Joker. Plus, not only is this one of the best Batman movies, but it's also the most underrated out of all of them. So, for those who love the 90s animated series, you should definitely give this movie a watch, especially during the Halloween season. I give this movie the highest rating of 100%. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to join me for my next blog. Mustang Power.